everybody. Heather Lambert here from A More Magical Life, and welcome back for part 2 of our course, Stop Being Busy. I'm about to share with you some more secrets. We're going to uncover your priorities today and figure out what's really important to you and what you should be spending time on. So let's do a quick recap and then get to it. Where are my slides? Boom. There they are. All right. Here we go. Secrets to stop being busy. Let's review. Last time we talked about why you felt so busy and how it's probably not exactly what you thought it was. I hope as you do some tracking that you're starting to uncover that maybe you're not quite as busy as you think. Maybe you've got some more time than you think, and you just need to be a little more intentional with it and use it differently, right? Remember, A More Magical Life, that's what we do here. I help you think about your time different so you can use it better and live a more magical life. That's what this is all about. So right now you are tracking and identifying what you really spend your time on. Hopefully you're in the middle of that. You are working on the last few days of your tracker. If you're not finished yet, that's perfectly okay. We can do some dreaming and some brainstorming in the meantime. Hopefully this course is on your tracker, right? And if you are done your tracker, then you've color coded, right? So this is what it will look like. So if you download the tracker, you've got something like that, a mess. Mine is a mess, so don't think this has to be perfectly. You're the only one that has to understand it. So like you can't read mine. You have no idea what that says. Only I can read mine. And then you color code it only after you're all done. I don't want you to color code till you're all finished tracking all 7 days. And then you color code based on the different categories that you choose. Today, we're going to decide what your priorities are. We're going to figure out what's most important to you, figure out what you've been focused on and what you've been neglecting, and we're going to figure out where you really would be like to spend your time. What do you really want to be doing instead of what you are doing, or maybe in addition to what you are doing? We can't get rid of everything that you don't like. There are some things as a grown-up that we have to do that we don't like, but we can certainly add some things that can make all the rest not so bad. So that's what we're going to do today. Looking forward, right? So next time we'll plan our week and make some intentional decisions. But before we can plan what we want to do with our time, we got to know what it is what we'd really like to do. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so step 1 was tracking. We just talked about that. Now, what did you notice about your tracker? So once you finish color coding, I want you to go back and look at it and find some trends, find some patterns, take note of if you have any surprises, if you have colors that are coming up a lot and some that maybe are not on there so much or are missing altogether. Are some colors taking up more space than you thought that they would, or vice versa? Maybe you thought that you were working a ton, but is really not on there a lot, or maybe you thought you were getting lots of self-care, but you really aren't. Whatever it is there space in your schedule after tracking that you didn't know you had? Do you have a lot of time sucks, some wasted time in there? So I have my time sucks were pink. And so all of the pink spots that you see here and up here, a lot in the morning, have a lot of time sucks in the morning. What's my wake up? I'm not quite waked up. I'm not a morning person at all. So my time sucking time, wasting time away scrolling is usually in the morning. So identify on your tracker, where is the space that you didn't know you had, the time that you've been wasting. And how do you feel about your tracker? How do you feel about your time and your schedule now that you've done all that? Now that you've really tracked and taken a look at where you're spending your time, you've sort of color coded it and made some notes and asked yourself some questions. You've identified some things that might need to change. How are you feeling? How do you feel about it? Are you feeling a little less busy because you realize you've got more time and now you're hopeful that you can really get control of it? Or does looking at all of this make you even more overwhelmed? That's possible, and it's okay either way. So hang in there with me. We're not done yet. We're just getting started. So let's talk about that. So if you are overwhelmed, one quick note, if you are overwhelmed by all of this and you have nowhere to look, you have no idea what, like you look at this and go, there are no patterns, there's no trends. I don't know what she's talking about. She's crazy. The color just makes it more confusing. I have no idea. If that's you, I can help you. So I do have some slots still open for some one-to-one coaching consultations. You can email me at heather@amoremagicallife.com. That's just a quick way, because I don't have a clickable link for you right here on this video. But if you want to just email me, I will send you the link. Or you can go to the Podia courses where you signed up for this one. And there should be a sales page there, or a link that you can register and schedule yourself a one-to-one tracking consultation with me. And I will help you. I will look at your tracker with you. We can look at your colors. We can take a look at what you've been spending your time on, and I can maybe help you from an outside perspective. Sometimes when we're drowning and overwhelmed with all the things, it's hard to see what's going on. And so if you need an outside perspective, I'm happy to be that for you. And I will take a look along with you, and we can identify some spaces where you can make some changes, use your time a little better. Maybe I can help you understand some of the patterns and things that are going on. So I'm happy to do that for you. Just shoot me an email or go ahead back to the Podio class and register for your time slot. And we'll have some fun together, and I will help you. You don't have to do this alone. I'm here to help. Okay, so what decisions have you made? So once you've tracked, I want you to think about what kind of decisions. What's good in your schedule? What needs to change? What can you streamline? So I found that my morning routine was full of self-care and time wasting. So I can streamline some of that morning, to get a little bit more productive a little faster. So that's definitely something I'm going to take a look at. What do you need to cut out? So I told you a story before of when I had to quit PTO, and it was only October, you guys. I'd only been in, as president for a couple of months, and I dropped right out. It was really a big decision, but it was definitely something I needed to do, and I don't regret it one bit. What needs to happen more often? Are you giving yourself enough self care? Are you giving yourself enough time with your family? Are you working too much? Are you not sleeping enough? Like, what is going on that needs to happen more often? And what surprised you? Think about what surprised you. I was surprised at how much time I give to my family and to myself. Like, I have really put those two things at the top of my priority list, and it shows on my schedule because it did not used to look like that at all, you guys. Like, really. Okay, so now we're on to step two, and I'm super excited. These are kind of fun. I want you to kind of, really relax and have fun with this. Don't censor yourself at all while we do these activities. I'm going to walk you through three different activities that I have, come across and done over the last couple of years. Um, they have been shared with me by several different sources, so I will share that along the way. But we're going to get real clear on what's important to you. We're going to decide what's been your priority and what maybe you've been neglecting. We're going to decide what kind of things you'd prefer to be spending time on. And we're going to figure out what are some things that might be missing and needed to be added into your week. So we're going to do all of that. Here's some fun activities. But before we do, I want to talk about work-life balance. Fact or crap? So that's just a fun game title that I remember. And I know this whole work life balance, it comes up a lot. People talk about you need work life balance and how do I get work life balance? And I'm struggling to find work life balance. It's always a thing we're trying to do. And to be perfectly honest, I don't believe that you will ever find work life balance. There is no such thing as a balance between work and life. Like, it's just not a thing. So stop trying to find it. And as soon as you stop trying to find the balance, you're going to be a whole lot happier, I promise. Now, let me explain. I don't think that there can be a balance because if we're trying to balance all the different hats that we wear, which is why the hat picture, and we try to wear them all at the same time, right? So that's what balance is all about. Like, how do I do everything at the same time so it's all equal? Well, you can't balance all those hats on your head at one time. They're gonna fall down. It's just gonna happen. So I like to think of things, it's just not realistic for everything to get the same amount of time and attention. It's just not. Even your kids, like, so I think about my three kids, and at any point in time in our life and their development, each kid required a different amount of time and attention from me. It just did. They were in no way equal at all. So right now, for example, my oldest is living out of the house on his own. He doesn't require a ton of attention from me. My second, Nicholas, is graduated from school. He's almost 18 and he's looking to move out. He's almost never home. He doesn't require a lot of attention from me. But my 7-year old is, so because his older brothers are now pretty much gone, he's basically an only child searching for somebody to play with all the time, and loves to do sports and needs quality time. That's his love language. So he needs lots of time and attention from me. It's never going to be equal between the three of them, ever. It never has been, and it never will be. So there is not going to be a balance of time and attention. It's always going to be who needs what, when, and that will shift depending on the season of life and what is going on. And that's the same with your whole work life balance. Different seasons of your life, different days, different situations will call for different time and attention from you. And it's okay. It's okay to give more time and attention to your work for a period to take care of a thing or to move you to the next level, and then that will shift. And then it will be time to give more time to your family. Maybe there are certain days that you give more time and attention to your family and less time to work, and vice versa. Um, Again, Laura Vanderkam wrote another great book called I Know How She Does It. And it's all about CEO, very highly successful corporate, full time working business women who have small children at home, and how they do it all, how they have plenty of time to sleep, plenty of time with their kids and family, plenty of time at their very high demanding jobs, some of which require lots of travel. Well, what she found was that, yes, there were some days that they had to, they got home and their kids were already asleep. But there were other days when they were there for them all day, and they spent this quality time and all of these hours and did really great things. And as long as you're giving kids those times, those focused attentions, the other kind of washes away. It really does. It's not about balance. It's about giving everyone what they need when they need it, right? As it needs their attention, and your time and efforts can shift. So, sort of like an orchestra, which is so much a better model. And I learned this from someone a couple years ago. Um, this whole work life balance is more like the sections of an orchestra. So, you have a string section, you have a woodwind section, you have percussion, you may even have brass instruments in an orchestra. And as they play a song, different sections play louder than others. Some sections stop playing completely while one section is featured. And then they will come down and another section will go up. And then the violins will have a solo, or the drums will beat and everyone else is quiet. So the instruments come and go. Sometimes they all play together at the same time, and then it's over and it's silent. So I like to look at the whole work life balance struggle more like this orchestra. Some songs are really fast, some songs are really slow, some feature certain instruments more than others. And it's okay. We just have to kind of go along with what life is giving us and what season of life we might be living in at the moment and what our goals are for that moment. So, as our goals shift and change and our dreams shift and change, so does the songs that our orchestra plays. And certain instruments will be needed at certain times and not so much at others. So, just allowing that ebb and flow and in and out and loud and soft of life happen, and enjoying the song, right? You've just got to enjoy the songs as they come. Now, if all the instruments play different songs at the same time, at different times and different, like, that's a whole different story. And so that's what we want to kind of get back into perspective is to make sure they're all playing the same song and not necessarily trying to fight with each other, right? Um, so I hope that kind of helps give you a little bit more visual, different perspective. That's what I'm all about, thinking about things differently so you can do things better. All right, so our first activity is the wheel. I have seen the wheel multiple places, a couple of different books that I've read, and then I did a money boot camp with Denise Duffield Thomas, who talks about the wheel. She did it on her money boot camp or in her advanced manifesting class, perhaps. But the wheel is a very common um, inventory, so to speak, to kind of get a picture of where you are in life right now, today. This is not life in general. This is life right now, today. What's going on now? Because the wheel can shift and change. And as you can see, I have 3 very different shaped wheels on this page. So I like to think of the wheel as a bicycle wheel. Now, can all of these bicycles move forward? Yes, sure, maybe. Some more comfortably than others. Some move along smoother than others. Some rides are going to be more comfortable, right? And some not so much. Some you may struggle with. You might fall off and have to get back on. And so the most comfortable ride is going to be, of course, the most round wheel. Now, what does that mean? It means that all areas of our life are getting the attention that they need, not necessarily more or less, but the attention that they need, right? It's what is a priority, what's working. If it's working and you're not spending a ton of time on it, that's okay. It's working, so it's fine. You don't have to necessarily pay attention to it any more than you already are. But if it's not working, then it might be an area we need to pay attention to. So this isn't necessarily about balance. It's more that you have attended to each thing. And each area is going to keep coming around as the wheel spins, right? So that you know what I'm talking about. This is your wheel. Now, how do we do this? So you can take a piece of paper, any piece of paper, doesn't matter. I actually have this exact printout for you in the course materials, and you can download it and print it out. And so we're going to rate each category of your life from 1 to 10. Now, I don't want you to rate what you think people would say about that area. And it doesn't matter what number you choose. This is a number that you choose. Don't think about it too much. Go with your gut. That's always the best answer. And if you're not sure and you have question, you get to decide. You get to pick the parameters and the definition of each of these categories and what is included in these categories. So it's really completely up to you how you define them. So we're going to go through each category and you're going to rate from 1 to 10. That's the first step. So the first category is family. So think about your family. Again, you get to define whether this is immediate family, extended family. Does that include both or just your immediate household? You pick. Now, 1 to 10. 1 being it is horrible. I hate it here. I hate my family. It's awful. I wish I had a different family. And number 10 would be this is the best family ever. I love my family. I can't get enough. I want to spend all my time with them. Okay, so my guess is you're probably somewhere in between. And again, you decide. How is family life? Are you spending enough time there? Are you giving everyone the time that they need from you? Are they giving you the time that you need from them? Are you doing activities together that are fun? Are you enjoying each other's company? Do you have a household that runs smoothly and you're all interacting together and everything's good? You pick, you decide. 1 to 10. The second category is fun. Are you having fun? And fun can be whatever you define fun to be. For me, fun is sitting on my porch reading a book. That is fun. And so fun can be anything you want it to be. If fun for you means going to the movies by yourself, then by all means, include that in your score. whether you're doing it or not, right? Fun could be time out with friends, whatever you want it to be. Are you having fun? Are you having fun with your family? Are you having fun by yourself? Is there fun in your life? When you look back, I go, yeah, life is pretty fun. 1 to 10. The third section is career. So whether you have a job that you go to or whether you're building your own business, what is your career? Is it good, bad, or ugly? Is it something you like to do? Are you making enough money at it? Is it a chore every day? You hate Mondays, you love Mondays, whatever it is. 1 to 10, your career. The next one is spirituality and personal development. I put these together because it can be either. So turn that off. Whether you are a religious person or not, doesn't matter. I feel a lot that religion, spirituality, personal development, they're all about making you the best person that you can be. And so whatever it is your beliefs are, think of that area of your life and are you happy with it? Are you where you want to be in that particular category? Are things going well or not so much? Do you wish you could do more? So 1 to 10. The next category is money. And money is your finances. Are you horribly in debt? Are you able to pay your bills and there's money left over? Do you have a good savings? Are you all set for retirement? Are you struggling to pay your bills? Is there just not enough money at the end of the month? Whatever it is for money, whatever your situation is, 1 to 10. How do you feel about it? The next one is friends and community. And this, again, is your definition of what friends and community might be. If you have close friends that you hang out with, or if you volunteer in the community, if you serve the community, if you go to community events, whatever it is for you, for outside relationships, basically. So 1 to 10. The next one is love. And love could be your partner. It could be boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, spouse, significant other, or it could be something else. If you feel the love that you need for you, and that is different for all of us, then give yourself a score accordingly. Health is the last one. If you are generally a healthy person and you've got nothing going on, then you might have a really high score. If you've got a ton of aches and pains and sicks and you're in the hospital or in the doctor's office all the time, or you've got a bunch of things that maybe have been bothering you that you just haven't addressed, that might affect your score. So again, you decide your score 1 to 10 on how you feel your health is. Now, each category gets labeled on a line. So we're going to go around and assign each one of these lines with one of the categories. So this first line might be the, oh, I can use this. Let's do this. Okay, so this first line might be your family line. And then if you had a 5, you would put a dot right in the middle. If you had a 10, you'd put a dot right up here, right? And then the next line might be, oh, I'm backwards in the screen, whatever that next one is, fun. So maybe this line is fun. And if you scored a 2 because you don't have enough fun in your life, you're going to put it really close down here somewhere. Maybe you scored an 8 and you would put it way up here, right? And so all the way around, label each line one of the categories, and then you're going to connect the dots. So connect. And I'm going to connect some dots so you can see what that looks like. And I'm going to say that family is pretty good. Fun is pretty good. This is fun. Family. Career is kind of rolling, but needs some attention. Maybe personal development. I did some stuff lately. It looks really good. Money is really not good right now. Friends. Love and health. And then we're going to connect. So I'm going to go around just for an example. So this is a wheel. So take a look at the shape of your wheel and think about if this was the wheel of your bicycle, it kind of has a flat right here. How comfortable would this ride be? Not so much. It's not a bike wheel I would want to ride for any length of time, for sure. And in order to make it a more comfortable ride, I might want to give some more attention over here to these couple of categories. If I did that, and I gave more attention to those categories, it might balance this wheel out a little bit more, and then it would be a little smoother ride. So if that makes sense. So what you want to do is take a look at your wheel and see if you have any spikes that might make it uncomfortable, right? As it spins, as you give attention to each category of your life, are there categories that are being left out? Are there categories that you're focusing on really hard and a lot of time? Are they good because you're focusing your time there, or are they good just because they're good and it's fun to be there because they're good and you're avoiding the other categories? So that is a possibility. And only you know the answer to that. So are you spending time in categories that are good because it's fun to be where things are working and you're avoiding other areas? Or maybe you just need to spend some more time focusing on some other spots to fill them out. So it's possible that you need to adjust your time to take a look at some of the issues that you might be having in different categories of your life. Maybe not. Maybe you're spending the right amount of time in all the categories. Maybe your wheel is not too out of whack, and that's great. And now you know that you're pretty good. You're rolling along okay, right? You just want to make the wheel even bigger. All right, so let's move on. I should mention, if you feel like chatting, go ahead and share with us any of your categories in the chat. Would love that. All right, we're going to go on to my favorite activity. Where am I? There I am. There I am. The Be Do Have. This is my favorite. So this was definitely Denise Duffield Thomas that shared this with me, and she also shared that this is pretty common activity. I've heard it done some other places too, but they may have called the columns a little different. But I love this Be Do Have, and it seems to be very powerful. Every time that I've shared it, it's worked really well for people and helped them really brainstorm and figure out some things that maybe they want to have in their lives that they don't, that they didn't even know that they wanted, or some things that they maybe needed to spend more time on that they weren't. So the Be Do Have, a couple of things that are important with Be Do Have is to not censor yourself at all. You've got to remember, this is not a contract. Anything you write down is not set in stone. Just because you put it on your list does not mean you must do it. This is just dreaming. This is just brainstorming. And if you know anything about brainstorming, anything and everything gets included. You don't leave anything off. Don't censor yourself, or you lose the whole point. Sometimes you'll write something down that will inspire something else. And there is something else we're going to do with this list that will help you narrow in, and those ridiculous things will eventually go away, so don't worry about it. But just know that this is not a contract. This is not a bucket list of things that you absolutely have to do. This is brainstorming. It's called dreaming. And too many of us do not dream, and that's very sad. Because the only way you know what kind of life you want is to dream about it, is to really dream about what kind of life would be perfect for you, that would make you so happy to live day to day. And knowing and believing that that kind of life is possible for you is really important. And it's the day-to-day actions and activities and the way that you choose to spend your time that will move you to that vision, to that dream life that you really want to have. And if you don't know what that life looks like, then you don't know what kind of actions to take to get you there, right? If you don't know where you want to go on a road trip, then you just start wasting time going all over the place and you never get anywhere good. Maybe you do, but maybe you never get to where you want to be. You might by accident, but it would surely be a lot faster if you knew where you were going. Okay, so be do have, we're going to start with the first column, and it's very simple. All you have to do is brainstorm all the things you want to be in this life, in the future. What do you want to be? I want to be, maybe you want to be a mom because you don't have any kids yet. Maybe you want to be married. Maybe you want to be a homeowner. Maybe you want to be an author. Maybe you want to be a business owner. Maybe you want to be retired. Maybe you want to be free. Now, that's a little vague. I hear all the time people say, I want to be happy. But what does that mean? What would make you happy? Right? Maybe you want to be a millionaire. Do you want to be a speaker? Do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to be a mentor? What do you want to be? You can be anything you want. If you want to change careers, maybe you have a new career. You want to be a doctor. Maybe you want to be a salesperson. I don't know. Whatever you want to be, you can be anything. You want to be a beach bum. You can be a beach bum. Um, you want to be a world traveler. That would be good. Anything you want to be, you write it down. Anything and everything. It doesn't matter if you believe you can do it or not, you write it down. Don't censor yourself. Don't diminish your dreams. Just write them all down and see what happens. The second column is do. So again, very simply, what do you want to do in this life? This is sort of bucket list stuff, but it doesn't all have to be big and amazing. You can do something as simple as read a book on my porch every day. Maybe you want to meditate every morning. Maybe that's something you want to do and you just haven't done it yet, but it's something you've always thought you wanted to do. Maybe you want to take a class in something. Maybe you want to experience something. You want to jump out of a plane. You want to visit a certain country or a certain place or location. Maybe you want to play on a sports team or take music lessons, or maybe you want to go on a vacation at certain times of year. Whatever it is you want to do, you write it on the list. And this one, really go nuts, really go crazy. And like I said, it doesn't all have to be like big, amazing bucket list things. It could be very simple. Maybe you want to learn another language. Maybe you want to visit a certain thing, a certain hotel or resort or activity or place. Maybe you want to go to the farmer's market every week and buy fresh groceries instead of going to the grocery store. Maybe you want to buy organic instead of regular. Like it can be anything. It can be day to day. It can be big lifetime things. It can be anything. What do you want to do? And the last one is a really fun. This is when you can get really crazy and silly, but some people have a hard time with it. So the last column is what do you want to have? And some people struggle with this because we are so ingrained not to be materialistic. To want things is bad, and we should just be grateful for what we have and not want more all the time. Well, that's baloney. And if you want something and it's going to make you happy, then you should have it. Why not? Right? Having more is not going to change you as a person. Having more just makes you more of who you truly are. And if you are not that good a person, then even if you don't have it, you're not going to be that good a person. So just roll with it. And this is, again, it's not that you absolutely must have it in your life, and you're not going to necessarily have all of these things in your life. This is just dreaming, it's brainstorming. It's kind of like writing Santa's list for Santa when you were little, right? You didn't necessarily get everything on your list. And every year your list changed. And the things you wrote the year before weren't necessarily the same things that were on it next year. So today, what is it that you'd like to have? Some of the things on my list, I want to have new furniture in my house. I would like to have a convertible car. I would like to have um, a outdoor like eating space. I would like to have a pool. I would like to have so many things. So many things. Don't censor yourself. Write them down. Big, little. If you want to have new dishes in your kitchen or a new pot that actually has nonstick, or maybe you want to have a chef cook you dinner every night, or a nanny to take care of your kids, a cleaner that comes to take care of your cleaning. Like you can have anything you want. Just write it down. Write everything on the list, big, small, or otherwise. Write it on the list. What do you want to have? Now, the I know you're probably not done brainstorming and you can add to this list later. This one in particular, you are not going to be able to do in our time together, but I want to introduce it to you because it is certainly a challenge. And those of you that like a challenge, this is for you. So this is your list of 100. And again, I've heard this challenge from many different places. Yes, it's 100 things that you want to do or have. And it's basically the same as the be do have. It's just not split into the three categories. I think when you split it up into the three columns, the be, do, and the have, it helps you think of it more specifically. It might help you brainstorm a little easier. But all of those things on your be do have could also go on this list of 100. So the format really is just your preference. The idea, though, of the 100 is that it really challenges you to get outside of your comfort zone and to get really creative. Because the be do have, you just write down as much as you can think of and then you're done, right? But the 100, you got to get to 100. So I tried this on my husband the other day in the car while we were driving, and the first 10 came pretty quickly. He got to 15 to 20 after a few minutes of thinking, and then he stalled out. Like he got to, so 20, 25 is probably going to be not too bad, but beyond that, it's going to be a stretch. So for the whole rest of your list, and you may find another burst of speed, so to speak, another second wind, and get on a roll. Once you think of something, it might break through that stuck and get you on a roll again. But coming up with 100 will really make you start to think outside the box and get very creative in what it is that you really want. And it may uncover some things that you had no idea you really wanted. It may give you some ideas that would not have come to you otherwise. So it can be a lot of fun. So what I want you to think of is 100 things that you want to do or have in your life, all the way to 100. Do not stop. This is not like that's good enough. Like really stretch, because that's the point of this activity, is stretching. Big, small, or otherwise, does not matter how big or how small. Don't censor yourself. Don't think of something and think, oh no, that's crazy. Write it down anyway. If you want to be a lion tamer in the circus, write it down. Like, I don't care how crazy you think that might be, write it down. You want to swim with sharks? Write it down. It doesn't matter how crazy, big, small, or otherwise it is, write it down. Write down even the most ridiculous things you can think of on this list. That's what this 100 is for. Sometimes when we do that, when we allow the ridiculous, it helps our brain get really creative and think outside the box. It allows us to say, oh, we're going ridiculous? Okay, let me really think about some stuff then. And then the most amazing ideas come to you. So you never know what it might inspire. The most ridiculous could be the inspiration to the most perfect. So don't censor yourself. It's okay to ask for inspiration from others and steal other people's ideas. So, for example, I asked my husband to do this list for me, and some of the things he put on his list, I'm like, that's kind of cool. I'll put that on my list. So don't be afraid to steal others' ideas. Like, I was a teacher for 10 years. The best teachers are idea stealers. Like, that's what we do. It's about being effective. And if it's a good idea, then we should all be doing it. Like it's not a competition. Okay, here's the magical trick, right? The more magical trick. So with our tracker, our more magical trick was color. And for these activities, the more magical trick is your voice. And I so wanted to put a picture of Ursula from The Little Mermaid on there, but copyright. So your voice is so powerful. And let me just talk to you a little bit about your voice and this bead you have and your list of things that you've brainstormed. Writing down goals, dreams, visions, that kind of thing can be very powerful. So yes, you should write them down. And if this is the first time you're writing things down, you'll see that that is powerful in and of itself. And you should rewrite them over and over again. And that is powerful. And when you read your lists, so after you write them, you should go back and read them. And if you're reading them in your head back to yourself, it can have some power. It can do some stuff. It can make you think of things. It can change the way you think about what you're doing, for sure. But the real magic is when you read your lists out loud. When you go through your Be Do Have, or you go through your list of 100 and you read it out loud, it can even be to yourself in the bathroom where nobody else is listening, or while you're home alone. Read it out loud. There is something to the energy of your voice coming out of your mouth and vibrating through the universe, coming back into your ears and stimulating your brain. Just trust me on this one, okay? Read your list out loud, even if you're by yourself. Now, you want to 10x this power, read it to someone you care about. So scary. It is so scary to do. It's going to be horribly uncomfortable. You're going to resist it like crazy. But if you really want to power this up, you read it to someone you care about. But even if you're reading it out loud to yourself, I promise you that some of the things on your list you'll be able to read super easy, no big deal. You'll just zoom right through them. But there will be other items on your list that will make you feel things. Your tummy might turn. You might get goosebumps. Your hair might stick up on the back of your neck. You might cry. It might trigger some really heavy emotions. Those are the things on your list you need to pay attention to. The things on your list that trigger emotion are the things you really truly desire, the things that you need to have in your life. Those are the important things. And those are the things you need to be spending your time and doing things that'll move you forward towards those haves or those do's or those be's. If you really want to be an author and you read it out loud and you can feel it in your gut, or your heart starts to pound, or you get sweaty, or you get the chills, or you start to cry when you say it, or when you try to say it, but cry so you can't. You need to be an author. You need to write a book. And you need to take some time in your schedule to do the things that are going to move you towards that reality. I did this with some people on my team at one point, and they did their Be Do Have, and she read it out loud, and she said to me, "Oh my gosh." She said, "When I read that I needed to spend time with friends, girls' night out, I think it was. I need a girls' night. I want to have girls' nights out every week." She cried. She cried like a baby. She says, "I couldn't believe I was crying like a baby. I just needed to have girls' nights out." And that made her know that that was something missing in her life. If she had done the wheel, there was probably a huge dent in the friends and family situation, in the friend situation, the friends and community, or the fun, maybe. Maybe it's the fun. Maybe it's the connection with her friends. Whatever it was, that was missing in her life. And when she read it out loud and started to cry, she knew that that was a priority. That's what she needed to pay attention to. That's where she needed to be spending some time. And when she looks at her schedule, she needs to make sure that that is included somewhere in her week. It's important. And if there are things in your life that you really, really want that will truly make you happy, and you're not including them in your schedule and you're not allowing time for them, then you will feel stuck. You will feel unhappy and unfulfilled. And you won't move forward into the life that you truly dream of. So pay attention. Pay attention to those things that give you emotion and all the feels. They are your priorities. And when we look at planning your schedule in the next video and using your time intentionally, We're going to take note of those things, and we're going to start to do things and make room for things that will move you towards those realities. Not that they will be necessarily reality right away, depending on what they are, but you can start to move in that direction, right? But if you're not allowing time and using your time intentionally to do that, it will never happen, and you will never feel fulfilled and happy truly with yourself. All right, let's see what's next. Your voice is so powerful. Words matter, you guys. Words matter. And whether you're talking about yourself, someone else, or your hopes and dreams, words matter. They have energy and they make things happen. Good, bad, or ugly, they make things happen. So you've got to watch the language that you're using. All right, some questions to ponder now that you've done the 3 activities. And again, you may not be quite finished with those activities, so continue to add to them as you go. But what I want you to think about while you're making them is, what was easy about it? Maybe your haves were easy, but your bees were not. It's hard to think of yourself in a different identity or as, to be something. Sometimes it's hard for us to put a name on that and what we really want to be. Give it time. Sometimes the other things that we want, as we start to change and move towards those things, will inspire us and help us figure out and be more clear about the bees or the whatever that we're stuck on. What was hard? Was it hard to get creative? Was it hard to get to 100? Maybe it was hard for you to write it down to make it real. Sometimes we can think in our head a lot, but to write it down on paper or to speak it out loud gives it truth. It gives it sort of makes it a real thing. And sometimes we're afraid that if we make it real and then we don't make it happen, now we failed. And we don't like to fail because what will people think of us if they know that we tried and failed, right? So sometimes it's hard to make it real and actually write it down. You might have come up with ideas that you hesitated putting on the paper. And if that's true, think about why that is. Why was that hard? Which item on your list made you feel? Which one gave you the tinglies or the tears or the flutters? I usually feel it right in my gut. I can feel this like punch to the gut when I read something that is true to my heart. Was there something you kept coming back to? So maybe, or were there a group of things that were related? So maybe you wrote something down and then that made you think of something else, and that made you think of something else. Or maybe you did the feed you have and everything in that column was all related to each other. Like, I want to be an author, I want to have a book published, I want to do a book tour. Like, they're all the same thing basically, and you just kept coming up with them again and again. That's something to pay attention to. That's your brain is telling you, like, hey, we need to do this, we need to do this. Or do you have a bunch of things, a group of things that are all related? So my husband, when he came up with his list of 100, his first few things, he wanted to eat at 5-star restaurants with me. He wanted to go on a cruise. He wanted to stay at a Disney resort. He wanted to spend 3 months traveling the country. These were all travel related. He wanted to just wander. Didn't want to just be home. He wanted to go out exploring and living a like a pampered life basically at resorts is what he really wanted to do. But they're all related, and so that's the thing to pay attention to is, okay, we're going to travel, and how do we get to a point where we can go and do that whenever we want to wherever we want? That's the thing to pay attention to. All of those things were related to each other in that way. So what is something that you're writing down and they're all kind of related to each other? What's the common theme between them all that you can then pay attention to and include in your time? Was there something you thought about and didn't write down? This is the time. Be honest with yourself. Is there something that you thought of that you didn't write down? Call yourself out. Go put it on your list. It's not too late. You can add things to your list anytime. And remember, these lists are for your eyes only. Nobody else is looking unless you want them to. So they're just for you. You can put anything on these lists. You don't have to worry what other people will think of you. You don't have to tell them. So what's next? Okay, so remember, these are not contracted, they're not set in stone, they're just your dreams today. And what does that mean? It means they grow, they change. It's a living list. Things will fall off of this list, things will get added to this list. This list will change over time as you grow, as you become more confident, as you have more experiences, your lists will change. They're supposed to. It's okay. And because of that, you've got to rewrite them all the time. So don't just do this once a year. Don't just do this once a month. Once a week is really great. Every day is amazing. Denise Duffield Thomas, she always says a phrase that millionaires write their goals once a day, but billionaires write them twice. So the more frequently you rewrite these lists, and I'm not just talking about going back and editing them, I'm talking about putting them away, taking out a fresh piece of paper and rewriting them. That will really be powerful. But take notice. Be grateful and celebrate as you complete and make the things on your list real. So some of the things on your list you will accomplish faster than others, and you should pay attention to that and celebrate them. Make sure you check them off and take note. Hey, these are my dreams and I'm making them real. That's powerful and important. My son is coming home. The dogs are greeting him. All right, so coming up, next time we're going to talk about being intentional with your time. You're going to choose how to spend your time, and you're going to learn how to leave space for your life. Things happen unexpectedly, and we've got to have space for that so that we don't feel overwhelmed when things get disrupted. And we're going to learn how to get more accomplished in a shorter period of time. I can't wait to share that with you. So make sure you join me when you're all done with your tracker, you've color coded, you've come up with all your priorities. Then join me on step number 3, and we're going to talk about being intentional. Have a great day, and bye for now.